Hi guys, we're going to do your second set of notes for topic 5, which is on dividing rational numbers. It's very similar to what you've done in the past. I don't think we practice multiplying decimal or dividing decimals as much, but I know that we practice dividing fractions a whole lot because of unit rates and ratios, which was on topic 1. So it'll be a little bit refresher as well as maybe something new as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and start off with the top here. We're going to practice with dividing fractions first. You're going to turn any mixed number into an improper fraction. And you do not need to find a common denominator because you only do that when you're adding and subtracting. Since we're dividing, you don't need to find one. Then you'll do the keep, change, flip because we're dividing fractions. And when you flip, this is what's actually called your reciprocal. Okay, and you'll have to answer a few questions about reciprocals too. Basically, it is just taking your fraction that you're having and flipping it, and that's the reciprocal. Reciprocals are when you multiply the fraction and its reciprocal, it equals 1. So that's what you'll have to practice eventually as well. After you keep, change, flip, you'll then have to see if you can cross simplify. If you do that, if not, you'll have to simplify at the end. And then you'll multiply straight across, top times top, bottom times bottom. You'll simplify again if you need to, and then check the signs of your answer. So remember our tricks from yesterday that we talked about. Okay, dividing decimals are going to be a little bit different. The first or the top number goes inside your division bar. So the first or top number goes inside that box. You're going to move the decimal on the outside, if there is a decimal on the outside, so that it becomes a whole number. However many spots you move the decimal on the outside, you're going to have to move the same number of spots on the inside. Okay, then you'll divide normally. You're going to check the signs for your answer at the end as well. Okay, so if we scroll down here, for checking your signs, use the tricks that we practiced yesterday. If it's a good thing or a bad thing trick, or an even or odd number trick, or if it's the same, it's positive. If it's different, it's negative. Anything to help you out. Okay, so let's go ahead and practice doing fractions first, and then we'll do decimals after that. Okay, with your fractions, remember you want to change them into an improper fraction first. So that would be bottom times the whole plus the top. So when I do this one, I get negative 12 over 5 divided by negative 7 over 8. Then I'm going to keep, change, flip, or find the reciprocal of negative 7 over 8. So I'm going to keep, change, and then flip. And the reciprocal of negative 7 over 8 is negative 8 over 7. Okay, then you'll multiply straight across since we can't cross simplify. So we'll do top times top, bottom times bottom. When we multiply straight across, we get we have 96 over 35. And notice that I made it a positive because a negative times a negative is a positive. And then I'm going to change this back into a mixed number. So I'm going to do 96 divided by 35. When I do that, I know it can go into it twice, which is 70. And minus that is 26. So it's going to be 2 and 26 over 35. Okay, then I'll move on to my next one. I like to rewrite this so I can see it a little bit better. So this problem, I see it as 16 over 1 divided by, and I'm going to do bottom times the whole plus the top, which would make this negative 14 over 3. I'm going to do keep, change, flip, or find the reciprocal. So keep, change, and the reciprocal of negative 14 over 3 is negative 3 over 14. Then you can cross simplify. I know that 2 can go into both of these, so I'm going to divide them both by 2 and get 8 and 7. Then do top times top, bottom times bottom, and I get negative 24 over 7. Then if I change it back into a mixed number, 24 divided by 7 is 3, with 3 left over. So it's negative 3 3/7. Okay, Then we'll go ahead and move on to the bottom two, which are decimals. So I'm going to clear this out and move it up just a little bit more here. So remember, the first number or the top number is always the number that's going inside the box. So when I do this, I'm going to do negative 11.4 is on the inside and 1.2 is on the outside. Remember, you can't divide with a decimal on the outside. You have to make it a whole number. So I'm going to change this to 12. And since I moved the decimal over one spot, I'm going to move this, and now it's 114. Since I moved that decimal, you can add as many zeros as you want to if need be. You never know. Okay. So I have a positive and a negative, which means my answer is going to be negative. 12 can't go into 11, but it can go into 114 9 times. If I do that, I get 108. When I subtract, I get 6 left over because I had to borrow, and this becomes 14 minus 8. I'm going to bring up your decimal and bring down your 0. And I know that 12 can go into 65 times exactly. So from my final answer, I get negative 9.5. Okay, last one. Remember, the first number is always the number that goes inside the box. So I've got negative 70.125. And then I have to divide that by negative 5.5. I know a negative divided by a negative is a positive, so I'm going to put a positive sign up there. And I can't divide a decimal on the outside, so I'm going to move it over one spot, which means I have to move it over one spot right here. So now I have to do 55, and then I have to do 701.25. So I know that 55 can go into 70 one time, which is 55. Minus that, I have to borrow, so I get 15 left over. And then I'm going to bring down my 1. I know that it can go into 151 twice, which is 110. Minus that is 41. Bring up my decimal, bring down my next number, which is 2. I know it can go into 412 7 times because I'm a genius, guys. I'm a genius. And then that equals 385. When I subtract that, I have to borrow. So when I borrow, I get 27 left. And I bring down my last number, which is 5. And it can actually go into that 5 times. Exactly. So my final answer is 12.75. All right. Once you show all of your work and you have all of your notes done, make sure you get them checked by your teacher, and then you can start your activity.